And let's bring him aboard. Dan, how you doing, baby?
I'm doing good, my buddy. How are you?
I am doing great, my man. All right, there we go. A little all about the U. It's good. It's good. So, Dan, let me ask you, this weekend, is there any sentimental thing for you since the Niners drafted you? Are you a Niners fan on Sunday?
I'm completely a Niner fan and alumni of them. So I've been keeping in contact with them ever since I won the 2 Super Bowls with them. So that was the team that drafted me. That was a team that I associate with and an alumni of.
Okay. All right. So I figured that would be the case this week. And obviously, when you get to have success with a team like that, that's a pretty cool thing. So, what do you think? Can Jimmy G get it done?
I think so. You know what? The formulas that we had when we played in the Super Bowl was, we had Joe Montana, we had our offense, but people didn't realize we were always in the top 3 in defense.
Yep.
And my rookie year, it's so familiar of the game plan they put together. Because George Seaver came down my senior year, and they took me, Pierce Holt, and Bill Romanowski, all 3 defensive players for that draft class, and we ended up winning the Super Bowl because they needed help on that side of the ball. So when I see all the number 1 picks on the defensive line, I see a complete team. And, we got offense, and they run the ball more than what we did when I was there. But, I think the formula is there for us to win.
Yeah, no, Bill Walsh cared about defense, cared about the running game, cared about the passing game. I mean, he always had the balance. That's the one thing that it's kind of like those Lakers teams, the Showtime Lakers. People don't give them credit for their defense, actually. Everybody looks at their offense, but they were actually a pretty good defensive team too, and they would get some stops when they had to get stops. And it's kind of like your teams too, that in those days, the stars were Montana, but if you really looked on the other side, Ronnie Lott and the boys were, rocking it out like you guys.
Definitely. And that was the one thing that it was always funny. They kept showing highlight films. They're like, they don't show the defense anywhere. No. It's always the offense. And everybody, you play on the defensive side, you always grumble. But, it is what it is. Offense, I think, sells tickets, and defense is what it is. Because you could take it from the last Super Bowl, it was all defense. And my friend's like, it's going to change around. I'm like, no, it ain't going to change around. It's going to be defense to the end when you get a game like that.
So, Dan, you played with Joe Cool. So is it Tom Terrific or Joe Cool? Who's number 1 in your book?
It still has to be Joe. For him, my rookie year coming all the way down, the score on that last play. Then I see Joe just when we played Denver in Super Bowl 24, just destroy Denver. We were 14. I think we were 14-point favorites, and I was like, that's crazy. And to see Joe just destroy people throwing the ball that way, and it's like night and day. Jimmy has to win one to become one. In my book. Yeah.
No, I'm with you there, and I got to say something, man, Dan. What John Lynch has done. Because at first I was like, oh, okay, another former NFL guy who's in the TV booth is going to make the transition and going to fail like crazy, like all the other ones have. My man, he has not. He bamboozled Chicago right from the get-go with that trade, and he hasn't looked back. That guy's made every right move for San Francisco.
Definitely. I was skeptical of it, too, him being a general manager and playing with Tampa Bay. And I'm like, well, what are we going to get? And then the way he built that defensive lineup and on that side of the ball to help out with the offensive side, to me, it's just been an outstanding job. He should be executive of the year in my book.
Yeah. No, I'm with you there. My philosophy on this game is I know you're rooting for San Francisco, but I like Kansas City in this game, Dan, because of what they did to Derrick Henry. When they got tough enough to shut him down to 7 yards in the second half, I almost get the feeling that if you can play like that, can they do that to San Francisco and limit Breida and Mostert? because it looks like Coleman probably won't play, but limit those guys and then force Garoppolo to beat you. And that's where I say Mahomes over Garoppolo, and especially when we throw in Tyreek Hill. So you tell me why I'm wrong and why you think San Fran will overcome and win.
When a lot of my friends were like, I like Tennessee, and I said it's a mindset. You're going to have to stop the run. And Kansas City had the mindset, just like if we were when I was in college playing Oklahoma, they were going to run the ball regardless. You have to have a mindset to stop the run. I think they'll take that approach to stopping the run, but also we got a completely different back. You got the back for Tennessee is a big kid. And we got slashers and cutters that can, cut on a dime and make some room over there. And plus, when you're running the ball that much, you don't see, you're not passing the ball. I'm like, why even throw the ball when they can't stop the run? So I see them doing that. I said they lost, I think Kansas City lost 4 games. So I seen them get out physical and outplayed. And if they come in and they're going to spot us. They want to stop San Francisco with 21 points. Let it be. It'll be a whole different other beast coming that way at you. So, I just think from a standpoint, we're a more balanced team. Can we throw the ball? Yeah. Can we put points up throwing the ball? Yes, that's been proven. So, it's more another the least possible way of beating yourself will be our way. I think you're just being balanced, running, and playing good defense with them. They do got weapons. Tyreek Hill, they got like a track team. And when I wasn't pulling for the Niners, I was pulling for Kansas City because I like to watch them play too. So it's going to be a good game. Either the Super Bowl goes 2 ways. It's going to be real tight or it's going to be a blowout.
Yeah.
I hate to say.
Yeah, no, I can see that. It's just that for me, Garoppolo needs another one of those weapons, and you look at Mahomes, and while the tight ends are a wash because they're both exceptional, Tyreek Hill is like the ultimate difference maker out of that group.
Yeah, if they can get him on Richard Sherman and you got him in man to man, you're going to get some problems. But I think they're going to put a scheme together to make sure they don't blow it over the top with big plays. Try to keep them underneath, maybe jam their receivers. There's certain aspects of the game that you could be able to do that's it was still the same when I was playing back then with the Niners. You can if you have the mindset, you play the right scheme, and you don't give up big plays, and you make them earn everything. Then I think that might be something that is a good keynote for us for San Francisco to win.
Dan Stubbs, of course, joining us, a former Canes great here on the program. All right, Dan, let's switch gears a little bit here with the University of Miami. How frustrated was this season for you as a former great watching this team?
I know we played a lot of people. It's like everybody else. You can't put it. We all know what's wrong. We all know the same thing. And, I thought it was promising when they played Florida and just barely lost. But, some of the stuff that's been coming out in the media about kids not, studying, kids going out the night before,
right,
and doing all this, and nobody's policing each other. It's just frustrating. I'm like, what hotel are they staying in where they're allowed to leave in the middle of the night? I know we stayed at the old Don Shula's place out in Miami Lakes, and there was nothing out there, and it wasn't even, nobody went out. And if you did go out and they asked what happened, we usually tell the media that, we don't hide something like, oh, it's internal matter. I'm like, no, the guy screwed up and didn't show up or he didn't play right. So it's, I don't know if you're allowed to shame anybody or it's not cool anymore, but back then you got called out, and you got called out not only by us, but in the media, and everybody knew what was going on.
Well, you know how ultra sensitive these Generation Zs and millennials are. So if you call them out, you might hurt their feelings, Dan. You know what I'm saying? Like in our day, it's they could get mad at you and they could scream at you, and that like 10 minutes later it was all going to be water under the bridge. With some of these millennials, this thing it stays with them forever. It like damages their psyche or something. I'm
Well,
serious.
that's a different two sides. Back then you want to be treated like a man. They treat you like a man. They talk to you like a man. And you know what? My thing is, I just still don't understand. Like, they practice so early in the morning, then they got rest of the day off, and then they get to do that. I was like, we practice in the afternoon, and if you want the breakfast, because it was mandatory, and the coaches wouldn't talk to you or just gave you just like that pissed off mood, we knew all hell was going to break loose at practice when we got there. So it wasn't, that was like a taster of what was going to go on. So I've never been a big fan of just practice early in the morning, because that ain't going to make them go out, but they still find a way to go out. So if you're going to do something, I'd rather you practice in the afternoon so everybody knows what's going to come down the pipeline when you get there.
Dan, are they just recruiting the wrong kids, like character-wise? Not a matter of talent, character-wise. Because, I heard Benny Blades and Ed Reed talk about how they need to police themselves, like what you were talking about policing themselves. But in order to do that, you've got to get to the point where the guys that are policing are the leaders and winners of that team, because that's one of the things that you all had, that when you walked in as a freshman, there was a junior or a senior that was straightening you out and leading you to the right path. They don't have that cycle going on.
No, and that's it just puzzles me, because I was talking to a couple of friends, and the bowl game, the kid Rousseau played, but the two defensive ends are seniors. Are they supposed to be going to the draft? I'm like, you're not even better than the kid who's playing, but you're going to get ready for the draft and not play in a bowl game and show no competition. Like, you know what? I'm going to do this because I just want to win. And I don't know. It just amazes me. Some of these kids with not even draftable grades just say, I'm just leaving, going to the pros. And I'm like, this ain't the old Miami where teams were like, oh man, you guys are so, when I went to the Niners, Coach Walsh was like, I wish I could get more University of Miami players, because you guys you have the mentality, you're already prepared for the pro game, and your attitude is the one we're looking for as winning. And some of these guys, I don't know if they just think because they go to Miami, they think they're going to get drafted, or people are just talking in their ears. But I'm like, that's not talent. And I don't even know when the last time we had a first round pick.
Yeah.
And that's how bad it is.
Yeah. Where are you with Manny? Because I was so gung-ho about Manny. I love that they hired him. I thought he was the right guy. And I'm not for firing a guy after 1 year, but man, I got to really question what the hell's going on. So I'm just wondering, as a player, what's going on? What's going through your mind with Manny?
I think he knows the tradition and the history of what goes on in Miami. I don't know if the discipline rules were, because you read so many things in the newspaper about what's going on down there. I think he wants to take a tougher stance on everything down there and be able to improve what he did. That might have been his mistakes. I remember when Coach Johnson there, we were 8-5. His first year, people wanted to transfer. It was, everything was under there. Then once Jimmy got everything under his control, under his thing, some of the Sillenberger people were allowed to go. He just got rid of them and be able to put his own print on there. And then that was a whole different other culture, a whole different other scene. From the 8-5 year, then we go to the Sugar Bowl, almost win a national championship, but we ended up losing to Tennessee. So it's, that was like on the run, because we just knew what the head coach wants, what everybody else was going to do. It was a transition year, but now it was, this is Jimmy's team. He's going to put his fingerprint on everything.
Were you on that team too with Highsmith and Penn State?
Oh yeah, we were there, and I had the fatigues on too. I was a 17-star general because I had 17 sacks that year, and yeah.
So let me ask you something. During that game, did anybody walk over to Jimmy and just say, please hand it off to Highsmith and don't do anything else? They can't stop him. He's getting 6 yards a carry. Why is Vinny continuing? Do you remember the 5 interceptions against Tennessee the year before? Come on. I'm just wondering, in their sideline that day, were you guys as frustrated as us?
We were down at the end of the end zone. I was down there because we were sitting there getting the offensive play called in, and we're like, we're going to throw the ball. I'm like, they're running to the end zone, like run the ball to Heisman. Just give it to them. Lag draw, just give it to them. Give it to them. I can see Alonzo trucking somebody for 3 yards and getting into the end zone. We're all screaming at Coach Johnson, run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. And when Vinny threw the pick, I was like, you got to be kidding me, man. It's only way I can say about that game is basically it was like a nightmare. It just started, you go in the locker room and you're just looking around like, what just happened? And then, the next year we had to write a letter. We had to sign a form saying we'll be good and no fatigues and none of that. So, and they got us shirts and ties to put on. And we're like, how do you tie a tie? So they had a guy sitting there tying ties for us for a hit shot.
I still think that's the best. I know everybody talks about 2001. For me, that's the best UM team ever. The one that lost in the Fiesta Bowl. I think that to me, that team was the greatest UM team I've ever seen, but I don't know. You tell me.
Well, I think so. And when you see some of the guys from the 2001, they keep talking. I was like, bro, we played a whole different kind of game when we played. It was, not only, you'd be self-defensive, but we would focus on some of your star players and try to, what's the best word I don't want? What's
take
the
best
them out?
Take them out?
Yeah, take them out. If we had to, and just get in their game and just completely, make them worry about what was going on, not on the field, but just the actual part, the hitting, the talking smack, this and that. Next, the guy's like not even paying attention and just getting beat like a drum.
Yeah, you guys.
So that's what we told them. I was like, we find if we have to stretch the rules a little bit, we'll find a way of doing it.
Yes. Yeah, you guys were good at terrorizing people physically and mentally at the same time because you guys did a really good job of, a lot of times you guys probably felt like you were already winning the game the second you stepped on the field. Not that you would coast after that, but you just felt like right from the get-go you had an advantage, in other words, mentally.
Oh, especially with a big game coming up. And if we're playing home in the Orange Bowl, that was completely, you would just be so pumped. The coaching staff will have you in a position where you're ready to go. And we always had a saying, like the night before the game, I was like, how much more film do we got to watch? I'm like, if you're not ready to play now, you can watch all the film you want to all night. You're not going to be able to perform. So, the preparation, to be able to tone it down, like what Johnson's like, we don't need you to, it'll be Monday. And he's like, I don't need you guys going all, we practice hard, this and that, but he didn't want us to expend so much energy that we didn't have nothing for Saturday. He said, I want, some hard practicing, getting after each other. But on Friday and Saturday, it's time to get cut loose. And I always tell a story about when George Seaver came to see me at UM before they were doing an interview for the draft. He kept saying, like, how come what's up with you and all you guys getting all these 15-yard penalties? And I said, Coach Seaver, it's controlled madness. I said, from the 40-yard line in, you'll never see a 15-yard penalty. You never did see one, unless it was like something nutty. But other than that, everything was free. You hit somebody hard, get 15 yards. It was just part of the game. And I had to explain that to him, and that's how we played.
Dan Stubbs joining us. Dan, before I let you go, you see where you guys were at. You see where this program is now. But you also know that college football has changed. There's big money that's involved in all of this. I have a friendly term that we like to use for the unrealistic fan called the blind ass fan alert. So I'm wondering, are we blind ass fans to think that we can recapture the kind of magic that you guys had in the 80s or 90s? Or is this the kind of program now that maybe they can get back to the point that maybe every once in a while they can compete with the Clemsons and the Alabamas of the world for a national title? But those days of year in and year out, is it because they can't compete resources-wise, they probably won't ever be there? How do you view it?
I think it's more of a talent, and it's more another, I'm like, we have the kid Russo's a studded defensive end, but I'm like, we used to have a defensive tackle. You're going back to Eddie Edwards, Lester Williams. I remember saying he was the first one. We always had that. You had a linebacker, and defensive end. He always had a front four. And then we had the quarterback position that was never, like, in chaos. We always had a stable, anytime we were winning, had a stable present at quarterback.
Yep.
And, you know, we're always going to have receivers. The linemen, we used to have nimble ones. Now we just got huge kids. So I'm just trying to figure out what kind of team we're going to be, you know. Once you get that, and I think you get a class that can be able to stabilize what's going on there, and you can be able to add to that class, redshirt some people, add to that class, and do that, that'll be fine. I'm like, some of the prima donnas who, that's the problem, you know, I'm not going to play, I'm just going to transfer. That's going to hurt you. But, you know, it's just strange to me how we get so many kids who want to go turn pro all the time, all of a sudden. Then you see kids at Alabama like, I'm coming back for my senior year. I'm coming back. I'm a 3-year sophomore. I'm coming back for mine next year to play and get a higher draft status. I don't understand how we doing through that, because I see Clemson players don't run out after 1 or 2 years and don't do nothing. They just don't. They are able to keep their talent, develop their talent, and get that talent to stay. And that's something we need to do.
Let's hope it happens, my brother. Dan Stubbs, the great Kane, joining us here on the program. So Niners win in your book. Where are you watching the Super Bowl, my man?
Being an alumni, you'll be able to get some good seats. So I got 2 pair of good seats from the Niners.
Nice.
So I'm gonna go check it out.
Nice. Good for you. You'll be at the game. There you go. Hobnobbing with the corporate folks. All right. All right. Good stuff. Dan, you're the best, my brother. As always, thank you for the time, the friendship. As always, you are awesome, man. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Big O. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You got it, baby. Be good.
Talk to you soon.
There you go.
Bye.
The great Dan Stubbs. What a good dude, man. Cool dude. Great person. Hell of a football player. Great voice, right? That's that deep voice. He's got that voice. He's a good dude, man. Really, really good dude. And I'm serious about that 86 Canes. That to me is always my favorite team.
Better than the 2000, 2001,
2001. Yes, 2000. I'll take that one over 2001. Yes.